Good evening, dear hearts, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Dance Show. And supporting us this evening in a return to sacred flow is the very special guest, Abi Denyer-Bewick. And Abi is a leadership mentor at the Red School. She's a menstrual cycle medicine circle facilitator, grief worker, AUHD, sorry, I said that wrong, AUHD, HD advocate, body poet, and ritualist. She's passionate about all humans returning to their cyclical nature, restoring the right relationship with Earth and the more than human realm. And she's also someone that I had the honour of being supported by several years ago during lockdown, when she put out an invitation to do some creative practice around embodying the menstrual cycle. So I have some firsthand experience of how amazing Abi holds space and how she's able to bring something that used to be very hidden, perhaps, and unspoken into the creative and sacred realms for us to really pay loving, conscious attention to. So it is with great honour and privilege for me to share this space with you today, Abi. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to come and talk about this work and being cyclical beings. It's a great pleasure to do that.
Yeah, and certainly the pleasure is ours to hear all about what that really means. You know, I'd love to hear, what does it mean for you to be, a cyclical being?
Yeah, well,
I know I always ask really easy questions.
it to me it means everything. I think there's something. Yeah, I think the power of remembering ourselves as innately cyclical beings, whether we are people with a menstrual cycle or not, but we have the great privilege of being someone with a menstrual cycle is we have this very embodied experience of being cyclical, but I think acknowledging the cyclical nature of everything, every being, we have a chance to really feel ourselves a little bit more embedded in the fabric of the world, and when we make contact with cycles, and when we really allow them to have significance, we are something like 0.01% of life is humans, and we have created this world where we're expected to be on and expected to be doing the same thing all of the time, and the rest of the world has this just an innate intelligence that says we move in cycles, the seasons, the plants, the life, death, all of those things. So by claiming that back kind of into the center of our lives means that we're going to be moving a little bit more towards health, towards sustainability, to that it's going to really support us to have capacity to show up in the fullest way. And so menstrual cycle awareness really gives us a chance to practice this and feel this as it moves through the body, as we're changing, we're like with a cycle. So that's menstrual cycle awareness is really a sort of mindfulness that spills from this deep knowing in my body.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I guess what firstly I'm struck by, the sacred geometry of the circle and the cycle, but something what you're describing, I'm reminded that, that constant on the go, the push, there's something about living as if we're not human. And I'm hearing that deep remembrance, that claiming back of what it means to be human as part of the fabric of the universe is cyclical. And we've really forgotten how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, we all know the reasons what's kind of gone on to, that we've tried to sort of override. We've got stuck in these kind of perpetual growth systems, and patriarchy, capitalism, domination, all of those aspects of particularly post-industrial kind of times have locked us into that way of being. And so standing up and reclaiming, remembering this very known in our bones sort of way is really, it's really important. And it starts to, and it's quite radical in what it's trying to do, because it says, no, I don't operate the same all of the time. I need times of rest. I need times of withdrawal. I move in this rhythm of expansion and contraction. And that's very much kind of shown through the menstrual cycle, that, and the significance of, particularly of needing to rest during the bleeding time, in order to kind of, come back, restore vision, all of these like deep processes that we've been sort of divorced from if we just carry on day one as if it was ovulation, as if we had the kind of capacity that we might have at a different point in the cycle. Then we're going to be burnt out. We're going to have physical health challenges, mental health challenges, exhaustion, all sorts of things. And really, it's, that's not even the sort of the worst part. I think the worst part is really not and having been in this work for a long time and worked with Red School for a long time, that there's this kind of incredulousness that I think comes through from people who menstruate, who are just like, what? There is this kind of access to this kind of power and resource and like intimacy with knowing my own needs and being connected to my own creativity, and like, no one told me I could do that, because I was like born into this system that just says, right, okay, you're on, now go, and doesn't encourage rest beyond obviously we do operate within a cycle every day. We're awake and we sleep, we do operate, but that's even, I think people sleep less now than they used to, and lots of kind of statistics and things about that, isn't there? So it's kind of an extension of that sort of cycle, I think, really.
So it really resonates, that sense that actually this is radical revolutionary work, that supporting people back into their conscious cycling, whether it's their menstrual cycle, their circadian rhythms and cycles, and how they're moving through their day. This actually speaks to everyone.
And I think there is a lot to be done around the specifically around the menstrual cycle, and kind of very deep sort of repair work, if we think about how women's health, women and people who menstruate, how these kind of health conditions have not been really well researched, or a lot of times not really acknowledged, and all of that is kind of tied up in having had this the importance and significance of the menstrual cycle being overridden and undermined. So claiming it back is really very powerful. So I wonder if it would be helpful for me to sort of talk about, if this is kind of new information for people, if it would be helpful to maybe talk about the map of the inner seasons, which is a part of the Red School cosmology.
Yeah, I think that would be really wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. So we work with sort of several ways of mapping the menstrual cycle, and one of the easier ones to understand, and this is becoming more into kind of mainstream conversations about cycles now, which is really brilliant, is the idea of the inner seasons. so that we are moving through each season, each month, each cycle that we have. So with the inner winter being the time of menstruation, so having the qualities of deep rest, going inwards, a kind of darkness, stillness. So anything that you kind of, if you live somewhere seasonally that has the 4 seasons, any of the qualities that you might think of about winter, when everything is just kind of quiet and rested and stripped bare, and there's a desire for just kind of comfort and warmth and a sort of introversion or inwardness. So all of those sorts of qualities come with the inner winter, and really what's being asked of us at that time is this request for rest and withdrawal from the world. So in some way being able to put down the worldly work or some responsibilities. So and this is massive work. It sounds like, wow, yeah, I'd love to be able to do that, but that's just not going to happen in my life. Or it's very I remember when someone first proposed that idea to me like 10 or so years ago, I was like, what, just like not work on that day? I was like, how is that? Like, okay, nice idea. And there's certainly it certainly takes some creativity to come towards, but there's an enormous power in like even just the intention of it's kind of it's almost like it's as much how we are with ourselves, like an inner sense of restedness, to not necessarily taking 2 or 3 days off to lie in bed, although it can be, and some people are forced to do that with strong menstrual symptoms, but really it can be like how we are with ourselves in that time. Like, do we just go to bed a little bit earlier, spend a little bit longer in the bath, ask if we live with other people, or maybe ask somebody else to cook on those days, or make some easy food or have something prepared, or so it's just like we just take the pressure and the responsibility off a little bit. So yeah, there's lots of ways to kind of be creative with that. But it's such a significant time for sort of disconnecting from the sort of material world and plugging back into the deeper layer, the more mysterious, deep, kind of feminine, really. So that's the inner winter. And then, as happens outside, winter slowly evolves into spring. And this is like particularly significant at this point in the cycle, is this this need to move very slowly, and a real need for tenderness and care, because as we're in the spring right now in the UK, and it's like things don't just, like flowers don't just shoot up overnight. They take their time to come out of that dark seed in the soil. They're moving very slowly, and they're very, very delicate and tender when they first emerge from the ground. Somebody could trample on them, or a frost could come, or so it's very much the same for our process. And this is a place that trips people up a lot. Yeah. Because like I think another thing that I've seen in the time that I've been doing this work is the message about needing to rest at menstruation is really landing, is really, younger and younger people are like, oh, okay, I've got my period, I need to sign out. Okay, great. But then there's still this like, oh gosh, I didn't do anything for a day. I need to do like 27,000 things to make up for that one day that I, you know, we're so indoctrinated with this sort of toxic productivity. So, you know, that's one of the reasons that keeping really mindful of this crossover out of the winter and into the spring is really, really important. And then when we can stay attentive and slow and gentle with that time, then, you know, spring can be so it can be so sort of delicious. And I guess just to put this on a map of on a kind of archetypal map, so if we're talking about a 28-day cycle, which obviously is not everybody's reality, then we'd be looking at winter being kind of day 1 to like day 7 or something like that, and then spring day sort of 8 to day 14, and spring has available, you know, delicious qualities of like playfulness and experimentation. You know, it's the time where if you've had ideas or kind of downloads from life, from the universe during your deep inner temple time in the inner winter, this might be the time that you start exploring those ideas in a really kind of gentle, maybe not involving anybody else sort of way, but your attention is being gradually drawn towards the outside world. There's things you might want to get involved in. So there's this kind of gentle expansion. And in terms of the sort of one's kind of developmental stage, this is and another reason why this time can be tricky for a lot of people is that it has this sort of overlay with menarche in the starting of your menstruating years. So it can kind of and depending what your experience was like in that sort of early adolescent phase, it can really you know, some of those things can re-emerge at this time, which is another reason to go very gently with oneself and, you know, bring extra kind of kindness and softness. But spring can, energy is kind of rising, you know, like we think again about outside, there's this sort of new life, lots of possibilities, this sort of innocence of, you know, the new green shoots, and things are just coming alive again, really is the sort of essence of the spring. And then the next crossover, so we're sort of then would be kind of coming up to ovulation. So we would talk about the inner summer being, you know, in the archetypal cycle, day 15 to day 21, something like that. And again, that can be a time of, you know, lots of people experience sort of ovulation as their sort of most abundant time, or time they have the most energy or capacity. It can also be experienced as a time where people sort of have so much energy, and this seems to be particularly true for people, neurodivergent people like me, where there's it can feel really scattered actually in the inner summer, and it can there's sort of too much stimulation. So and it's sort of the point at which you're like the furthest from the depths of yourself. If you're kind of visualizing the cycle as there's these kind of poles of menstruation and ovulation. So there's still something needed around pacing at this point. And, you know, sometimes this can be the place where people say there's a sort of sense of generosity, like generosity with oneself, generosity and availability to other people. And so this can be the place where people commit to things, and then you know, then they get to like day 25 when the thing is actually happening, and they're like, oh, why on earth did I say why on earth did I say yes? Yeah, it's a kind of cautious, it's a cautious time, but it can also be, you know, filled with all of the sort of qualities of the outer summer, of just like, you know, fun and a sort of easygoingness, you know, lots of light. Maybe people need less sleep, and maybe this is the kind of part of the cycle where you can get away with, you know, having a couple of drinks better than they might at other points in the cycle, and there's just like a little bit more, yeah, ease in the system. And this, you know, everything I'm describing is very much just the archetypal cycle. This is not, none of this is like what we should all be aiming to experience at each phase.
No.
So every cycle is unique, and the work of cycle awareness is to really bring you into touch with your unique experience of the seasons, and the places in the cycle that you love, and the places in the cycle that challenge you. But this just gives us a template to kind of go with. But yeah, it's always our unique experiences that you know is really where the learning is. So just want to sort of emphasize that.
Beautiful. I mean, I love the fact that you're sort of emphasizing that, you know, our uniqueness, our bodies are unique, and our relationality with our innate seasons is completely unique, and that there's no such thing as the perfect cycle, that there's nothing that we have to, as you say, aspire to do, that we're doing it wrong or we're doing it right.
Yeah.
It's more about tuning into our own nature and using this more as a mapping, as you say, to, well, might I be in relation to this with my own experience of being in the world?
And it's, yeah, and when I find myself where I am in relation to this map, I might never, like, you know, I don't think I'll ever be someone who really loves my inner summer. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of, I'm good with, you know, I feel a bit more physically robust and stuff, and that's cool, but I much prefer how I feel mentally and emotionally pretty much everywhere else in the cycle except for the inner summer. And
Yeah.
that's part of that's part of my nature. I'm, you know, so I'm good with that. So yeah, it's so much about listening, and you know, that's what I really love about this work as a spiritual practice, is
Mm-hmm.
that it's so personal, yet there's a whole load of people with wombs experiencing some version of this, but it's so embodied. Like, it isn't a practice that takes us kind of up and out or into a bunch of like theories or ideas. This is like lived, alive, changing day by day, and unique, and gets us just into a place of real intimacy with ourselves, from which we can, you know, express ourselves authentically in the world. We can, you know, name our needs. We can come fully into the expression of, you know, what it is we're meant to be doing here, what we're here to serve. You know, all of those things can come from this deep listening to oneself, and the movement through the seasons. So yeah, just to say that. And then we're moving kind of post ovulation, we're kind of moving into the sort of contraction side of the cycle, and then we'll move into the inner autumn. And so yeah, very much like, you know, at the end of summer, it just starts to get darker a little bit earlier. Energy things start to sort of slow down, and you know, this is the movement towards the kind of death time of the cycle. So like, the leaves are falling from the trees, and we just, you know, having perhaps had more capacity in one way or another during the summer, it's just like, actually, nope, I don't have that anymore. So this is a great place for boundaries. People often find that their no is coming a lot more
Mm-hmm.
strongly, and if they might struggle with expressing it, it's kind of there one way or another. So yeah, there's sort of less tolerance for things that we find challenging, whether that's in the world at large, or within our own close relationships. So it's like the beginning of the sort of withdrawal and the preparation time for re-entering the inner temple again. So it can be, this is the time that's very much not favored by the world. The world wants us
Yeah.
perpetually in our spring and in our summer,
Mm-hmm.
kind of on the life arc as well. This is a kind of ageist thing too, isn't it? That like
Mm-hmm.
once we're in autumn years in life, we're not that useful anymore, and all those kinds of things. So it can be challenging to to befriend the inner autumn. This can be a place where strong premenstrual symptoms come up. Some people experience very extreme moods and changes. The hormone changes at this point are quite significant. And there is also the piece about how we're met by the world, or if we're keeping on pushing and expecting to operate how we were last week in the summer, then body and psyche and soul sort of push back. And there can be a lot more sort of angst. So it's a time for real gentleness again, and really honoring what the body is speaking to and asking for. And then we return back into the stillness and the rest at winter.
Beautiful. I mean, I could take this glorious mapping and apply it to so many areas of my life. Only with my menstrual cycle, I can even map it out my day by going through the seasons of my own energies or my own creativity. I think there's something so vitally important about this archetypal map that you're sharing with us, that I'm trusting and imagining that whoever's listening now and in the future, when this is aired, will resonate with this at some level. That it might start to, so the sun might come out from the clouds and something suddenly makes sense about why we do that at that time. It's beautiful, beautiful work that you're doing, Abi, and I really appreciate you sharing it with such clarity and vividness that we're able to really imagine it, to see it for ourselves and where it might show up in our lives.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's a pleasure to to talk about. And so often the experiences where people are like, everyone knows it, that it is fundamental law of nature, and then you present it to people and they're like, oh my god, yeah, of course, that's like, why would I be guided by that? So it's just to bring that access to that remembering is it's a great privilege for sure.
Just a great piece of learning. Gosh, if only I'd been taught this in primary school instead of what I was taught.
I know. And now we have people doing the menstruality leadership program in Red School, like this year, younger than ever, I think. And they're in their 20s now, saying, I wish I'd been taught this younger. It's like, you're good, you're still young, but it's like, it's great that it's like it's heading backwards in time, and plenty of people are now taking this work out to schools, and to for people to have it right from the beginning of their bleeding years. So that's really what's going to change the world, I think.
Absolutely. So there's this return work that's happening right now in schools and different contexts around the world. It's amazing. I just feel deeply satisfied to know that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah, and for you to be a part of that, Abby, because I know how amazing that you hold space, and the healing and medicine work that you're helping others to tap into is brilliant.
Thank you.
Right. I'm aware of the time, and we're coming to a part of the show where some of our guests offer an embodiment practice. And I know that you maybe had something that you were going to share with us. Would now be a good time?
Yes, yeah. Let's do that. I would love to just offer a simple practice to just kind of drop us into into being cyclical, really. So yeah, maybe just inviting you to take a little stretch or wriggle or movement, or if you've been listening to this on the move or busy with something, then if it's safe to do so, to bring yourself to a place of stillness, sitting or lying, and to just check in with your breath for a moment. Again, another cycle that is holding us, supporting us, engaging us all the time, the movement of the in-breath and the out-breath. And then as you make contact with the breath, just letting yourself feel the holding of the ground. So whether it's through your feet or where you're sitting or lying, just allowing yourself to really feel that contact. And feeling how the earth is always coming up to meet you, always available, offering this kind of unconditional, loving holding. Your body to her body, and her body to your body. Just feeling for the simplicity of this contact. And then I'd love to invite us to get more of a felt sense of our own embeddedness in the weave and web of cycles, to feel the multiple layers of holding that are surrounding us. So maybe just beginning by noticing the outer season that is holding you right now. So that might be looking out of the window and noticing the colours. May or may not be typical of this time of year. Or it may be more feeling the temperature. Like how do you know, how does your body know that it's inside of an external seasonal cycle? What are the things that are indicating that to you in your felt sense right now? And what's it like to just lean a little more into that, to notice, yeah, this, for example, spring, outer spring is here, holding me, inviting me to be a part of it. And then also, as an extension of that season, feeling the land that's holding you right now. feeling how that land is in relation to its own cycles, the seasons, the time of day, what's alive in the land, what's dying in the land. And who else is sharing this land with you? The more than human allies, the ancestors who once lived on this land can still be felt. And what about the moon? So just acknowledging, if you're aware of where the moon is in its cycle right now, whether it's waxing or waning, it's feeling for the way in which that cycle is also holding you, influencing you, impacting you. And then noticing the time of day, wherever you are right now, which season of your day are you in? And what's that like to acknowledge and to experience a bit more explicitly? And then feeling for the physical space that you're in. The room, the car, the outside. And then landing inside of your body. Feeling how the structure of your body, your bones, your organs, the wave-like movement of your breath, feeling how that is also offering a container, multiple cycles moving through. And then if you are somebody with a menstrual cycle, feeling into your womb space. And just feeling for the atmosphere of your inner cycle experience today. And you may or may not know the specific day of your cycle, but just in this moment, just allowing whatever the sort of mood or atmosphere, the way in which you're experiencing yourself, your mood, your energy, your creativity, your sexuality. Just allowing whatever information is kind of surfacing, just allowing that to rise. Trying not to force anything, or there's nothing here that is wrong or needs to change. This is simply your experience coming into awareness to be acknowledged. And as you welcome it into your experience, feeling how it sits inside of your personal cycle, acknowledging that perhaps a few days ago things were different, and in a few more days things will be different again. And inviting the wider field of menstruality, all of the people with a similar kind of experience. Dropping into these cycles within cycles. So we restore this right relationship with how life moves. So just acknowledging what you found in the depths of your being, in your own cycle awareness today. Taking a couple of deeper breaths, letting yourself really lean into the bigger holdings of land and seasons and moon. And bringing some contact to your body. And maybe having a little yawn or a stretch as you find your way back into the space that you're in.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Just gently feeling my way back in.
Mm.
That was really deep for me.
Yeah, so taking a few breaths or a wriggle to find.
Yeah.
We've tapped into that kind of seed. Sometimes I feel it like when we go in, and cycle awareness can be like, it can be something that we communicate with people, and they have them hold us in it too, but it can also be like this very intimate little secret of, oh, I've gone in and there's like all this going on and there's this going on, and that might not always be nice stuff either. But it's like my own little sort of secret relationship somehow, and there's something that feels quite precious about that self-intimacy.
Absolutely. And so vitally important.
Mm.
Yeah, just giving ourselves some sacred time and space
Mm.
to listen and to feel and to know. And I was so struck by these cycles within cycles, and listening with gratitude as you name the ancestors and that which is in the land of our bodies, land of our being, land of this earth.
Mm.
Yeah, so just encouraging all listeners just to really gently harvest all that came through for you.
Yeah.
All that is to come from these medicinal invitations.
And if that was a kind of extended practice of kind of feeling into our own cycles, but I would really recommend people to begin to track a menstrual cycle or moon cycle, or just clocking, how am I doing, just dropping in 5 minutes each day. How am I doing on these? And energy is a good one to start with, kind of mood, how sociable do I feel, what's my appetite like, how inspired am I, you know, these kinds of inquiries can help to start to really build that cyclical awareness that belongs just to us. So yeah, I really encourage that as a practice.
Great. So that's a phenomenal starting point, isn't it? To sort of hold that curiosity in those daily inquiries. Where am I? Where am I in my cycling?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say, the moon, I feel very connected to the moon, and I'm always forgetting about her.
Yeah, well, it depends how cloudy it is where you live, doesn't it? You ever get to see her. But yeah.
So I know for myself that that's a relationship that I keep remembering and I keep forgetting to remember as well. So this is something that I would like to spend more time consciously cultivating going forward.
Beautiful. Yeah. And seeing, you know, where the moon's cycling and where you're cycling, and, you know, the different sort of tensions if we ovulate, like, you know, and there's no right way. Lots of things have been said about you should bleed at a, you know, new moon, and you should ovulate at a full moon, but, you know, that just doesn't that doesn't allow for the diversity of human experience enough.
No,
But it, you know,
absolutely.
there can be very interesting experiences. I know when I've been you know, bleeding at full moon, there's a real like tension with the sort of parts of me that really want to go in, and kind of tug of like intensity and energy on the outside. I feel grateful not to be in that space at the moment, because that's, yeah, I find that hard. So it's great, there's so much like juicy stuff we can find out.
Absolutely. And it's infinite. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much, Abby. I mean, this hour that's nearly over already is, you know, barely even scraping the surface, is it? I just know how much more there is to discover and how much wisdom you yourself hold, and that in this hour we can barely get to glimpse at the depths of your knowing. So So I'm curious, you know, for those that would like to know more or to find out about how to work with you, where would they look for you on social media, or do you have a website? Or
Yes, I do. I have a website which is just my name, abidenyer-bewick.co.uk, and that's just, shall I spell it? It's not
well,
the most
what I can do is I'll put it up on the thread of chat for anybody that's interested. But it's
brilliant. Yeah, so I have a website which kind of says around the seasonal ceremonies that I offer in person, and one-to-one medicine circle sessions or menstruality coaching sessions. And any like groups and workshops that I'm running, that will be on my website. And I also I'm also on Instagram, abi.denyer.bewick, which is mainly photos of my own morning practice of the you know, engaging with cycles of swimming at first light. So it's lots of pictures of the beach. But that has its own that's my own relationship to transition time between light and dark. So it is very connected to the work. So those are places where you can find me and reach out.
amazing. And do you do online work as well?
I do, yes, I do. I work in person in Sussex, in the UK, and I work on Zoom with people all over the world. So
Amazing.
yeah.
So for whoever's listening, I do greatly encourage you to seek Abby's work out, to get in touch with her, to be super curious about these practices, because I have to say it certainly changed, it revolutionized my relationship with my cycles, my body, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
But so we're coming to the last 10 minutes of the show, and as everybody knows, I'm a real bookworm, so I use this as a sort of pleasure of mine to ask for a book recommendation of any topic that
mm.
yeah.
I was like, oh, how do I get it to like one? I guess the first two books that I would definitely recommend are the books written by Alexandra Pope and Shani Hugo Wurlitzer, the founders of Red School. So the first book that they wrote together is called Wild Power, which came out in 2017, which explores the inner seasons, and so that's all about the reclamation of our wild power through menstrual cycle awareness. So it goes into lots of depth. And then a couple of years ago they wrote a book called Wise Power, which is about menopause and the lead up to menopause. And that's a really, really outstanding book as well. So together, I recommend them as a great pair for sure.
Okay.
Those would be the ones I would dive into.
Brilliant. Well, I'll definitely check them out. I'm certainly leaning more towards Wise Power, so it's nice to be able to have a resource that I can tap into.
Oh,
yeah, to where I am in my cycles.
It's a Bible for sure.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you for that recommendation.
You're welcome.
And I'm also curious about any words of wisdom that either spring from you or that you've received at a time in your life when you needed the most and that have resonated or supported you in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that kind of comes to mind for me was a little of what you kind of drew out earlier around this owning of our own unique cycle experience, and the how empowering that is. And I think, you know, my kind of journey with this work has been largely a journey of I guess of growing into self-acceptance, like radical self-acceptance. I think, you know, having lived undiagnosed autistic and ADHD for a long time, there was a lot of, you know, there was a sense of innate wrongness was very strong. And so, you know, finding a kind of a spiritual practice that just required me to listen, acknowledge, and accept what I find there was a great path towards you know, genuinely honoring and loving myself, whatever I'm experiencing, in whatever way, however it doesn't fit with what everyone else is doing. So which just brought me back to a Carl Rogers quote from when I did my counselling degree. But yeah, when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change.
Yeah.
And that's just really a very I have it on my wall. I'm just looking at it, and I think that that's what the cycle work just really helped me to embody.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. And well, being trained in Carl Rogers' work as well, that really resonates. It's such a powerful paradox, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And you know, the cycle work as well helps us grow this capacity to hold paradox. So is the kind of nature of life. So yeah.
And something else, just as you were speaking, I could just feel a softening entering my own body. And there's something about our true power, our true agency lies, and when we stop fighting ourselves, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's that just the energy lost on fighting ourselves, or
indeed,
ourselves, or forcing ourselves to be different, or all of that. Like it's
forcing ourselves into spring when we're in the depths of winter, or
exactly. No plant would do that. No animal would force itself out of hibernation until it was like absolutely like you know, yearning the bear is yearning to come out of the cave and go and find food.
That's right. That's right.
Right thing. So we can learn a lot from looking outside.
Absolutely. Nature has so much to teach us. And something also I just want to acknowledge, because I felt really significant, but something you said about you know, in our capitalistic culture, this really ingrained sense of, oh, I took one day off or I took an hour off, therefore I have to make up for the slack, as if there's some sort of abacus or some sort of transaction system to
Mm.
activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely the next big hurdle to be overcoming. Yeah, because you know, a lot of people get sold in this work on like, oh, I'll be, if I harness the power of my menstrual cycle, I'll be even more productive at certain points in my cycle. And it's like, yeah, sort of like there's more to that, and just being careful of, yeah, still being seduced by the sort of lies of toxic productivity and capitalism.
Yeah,
Be mindful of that.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and we have had our own cycle within cycles in this hour, and we're coming to our own winter. The clock time has caught up with us, and you know, Abby, thank you so very much for your time and your wisdom, and for holding us so beautifully as you have. It's been a real joy, and I'm deeply moved, and my curiosity is stirred afresh. Thank you
Amazing.
for that. But thank you. I'm curious if there's anything else you'd like to say before I turn the recording off.
Well, I was just minded of the Audre Lorde quote of, you know, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of warfare. It's like, that's what we're doing when we rest. We're not saving our energy to be twice as productive.
No, no, that's right. Thank you for that. The perfect way to end the show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just finish up the recording. If you just want to stay on the line momentarily so we can say goodbye unofficially.
No worries.
Okay. Well, dear hearts, we've come to the end of another Inner Dance show, and what an epic cycle of cycles it was with Abby. Much love to you all, and hope that you tune in again same time next week. Much love. Bye bye.